Welcome to Coombe and Curry Sports Cards Podcast, where collecting meets a game.
Yes, troops, back in the game, season 2, episode 4. Your favourite podcast vendors back for a new episode. Coombe, how are we doing?
I'm doing good, mate. Yeah. I've had a great week. You?
Yeah, it's been pretty good. Pretty good. I'm sure you're still riding a wave off the back of last week's episode with Seahawks Sam.
Yeah, definitely. I've actually watched that. I've watched and listened back to that a few times. And I saw that he had appeared on someone else's podcast as well. And like, it's just so good to listen to the story. So yeah, riding that wave, as someone else suggested, the Seahawks Jizz Fest. It was
Oh dear. Oh,
Yeah, I've gone early on the explicit button this week.
yeah, it wouldn't be the first time.
So feel free to F and Jeff.
Thanks very much. Yeah,
Free for all
fantastic
now.
to speak. Fantastic to speak to Sam last week. Really enjoyed it. What a story! And all eyes on the draft pick. Unbelievable. We'll have to keep an eye out on that. On when is it? April.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, it's not long. And this week we're approaching. I think it's Monday free agency as well. So there's a lot of that off season's so big. Like but there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the meantime. So been catching up on all the gossip and stuff like that. And interestingly, what we're saying, like listening to Sam's content, I'm learning a lot of stuff. Like this, like with free agency and salary caps and drafts and all that. There's a lot to consider, and his content is just phenomenal for actually understanding what's going on. So that's been interesting this week. Yes, I've been watching a lot of Sam's content. But yeah, we've got free agency next week. There's some question marks for Seahawks over MVP Kenneth Walker. Yeah, they've not franchise tagged him, so he's going to go to free agency. So that'll be interesting. And another interesting one is Rashid Shaheed, who Seahawks bought in mid-season from Saints. I think it was a 4th and a 5th round draft pick. But they haven't managed to extend his contract yet. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. So yeah, interesting week, I think, ahead for the NFL world.
Yeah, sounds it. Quick, whilst it's on my mind, me and Lemmy, friend of the pod, have signed up to the London NFL updates pre-sale thing. Yeah, tempted, but I think they haven't announced the full games. They've announced 2 teams, and I think there's like 3 matches. Commanders.
Jags are over there. Commanders. Yeah, I can't remember the other side of the team.
So yeah,
I feel like this is a bittersweet moment for me. I'm chuffed to bits that you and Lemmy are talking about going to a game, but I feel a pang of envy. I feel like Lemmers is replacing me. So I feel happy and sad, but
in a way, it's not the real deal, is it? It's not in the US, but it might fill the void.
Yeah.
Honestly. It might fill the void for me not having been over to like Green Bay or anyone. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I think
they still do it in style. I'll tell you, there'll still be like jets that fly over and national anthems, the whole shebang.
Cheerleaders, or
yeah, they've got the lot, mate. When you're the time you're there, you'll feel like you're in the US. Trust me. Try and go to a Spurs game as well. It's decent there.
Yeah, better get in that stadium whilst I can, whilst they're still up in the Prem, because
not for long.
not for long, Chief.
No, days are numbered, aren't they?
Big time. But yeah, cool. Should we talk about product? We haven't talked about product for a while. I know we we were going to discuss some bits last week. I'll start. I've got a question for you. I've been itching to ask, but I thought I'd save it for the pod.
Hit me with it.
So Futera have just announced some new product, right? How do you feel about this then? Don't know if you've seen it. You might not have. But Futera are releasing a mixed sport box. Now, yeah, exactly. What sports, I hear you ask? Well, glad you asked. You've got boxing, like UFC, snooker. I want to say maybe darts as well. Then some football, and I think that's pretty much it. I don't think it crosses over into NFL or like any American sports. How do you feel about that? How do you feel? Yeah. You know, there might be a second, but it's perked my interest, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. You know, like me and some of the boys over here have been talking a lot this week about, and it's something I think we're going to touch upon later. And I know we got Baza, Michael, coming on, joining us shortly. But at some stage, we want to have a little chat about, you know, like what we're giving to the car community, like what we want to do and where we're going. And I think, there's a little bit of a link there. You know, like me and some of the boys have been talking about, like different things and what's good for the hobby. And I see this week, Luke Littler is, I don't know if you've seen these videos, but he's been ripping boxes.
Yep, seen them. Yep.
Yeah, and I think all these sort of things that you see are good for the hobby because it's another branch of people. Not only, say, like Luke Littler, for example, you're going to get, that's going to pique a little bit of interest with people who are in the hobby, maybe towards the dart world. So it works both ways. And it's interesting because it's never crossed my mind to collect, say, darts cards or be involved in sports like that. I don't know if there's snooker card, I know there's golf and stuff like that, but when you then see those characters, because he's quite funny. I know he's a Man U fan, and that's a shame. But but he when you see them getting involved and stuff like that, it does bring attention to the hobby. And it's not always great, I don't think, but watching him do his videos is really, really good. So I think that shines a little bit of a light on darts and vice versa. You know, darts people looking at the card collecting hobby. So I think in terms of the question and the product, yeah, I think it could be one of those things that you have a dabble with. You know, you think, yeah, I'll go in maybe a break into one box and stuff like that. And maybe for some people that might start that little train of thought, you know, should I collect golf cards or, but what I've found, and you know this, Mart, is I think I'll put it, sometimes you don't choose, you don't choose what you want to collect. It's how it feels, isn't it? Because obviously from being a football, you know, soccer, hate saying it, fan all my life, I wanted to collect a lot of football stuff, but I didn't feel the same as the NFL. And I think at this stage, I dabbled with Rolling Stones as well, and some really, really nice cards, like really nice cards. But I don't feel the connection that I do with NFL. So for me, it would just have to be, yeah, like I could be drawn into a box, and then it would be, the big question would be, how do you feel after? Do you feel like you want to collect a Luke Littler or think of a boxer? Think of a boxer.
Tyson Fury.
Yeah, I was going to say Prince Nassim.
Yeah, good shout. Yeah,
He'll be in there, legend.
Yeah, wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, so yeah, like I guess that's really the answer to it. But it's definitely interesting. I like it, you know, and it ties in with a lot of these different people that are getting involved with the hobby. What about yourself on that?
Yeah, well, I'm actually very tempted to get a hobby box, 130 quid. But I you know, I'm really into sort of my boxing and my UFC as well, and used to be into snooker quite a lot. So to have them all into one product, yeah, it really sort of perked my interest. I was wondering what you would think about it. So yeah, it's very interesting to see that, and then obviously they chuck football in there as well. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, obviously the Futera product itself is, I think it's, very premium, isn't it? Sort of when you're buying it, it's very like low numbered cards, and the base cards are amazing. And I've got a Gerrard base card for England, and that's class. But yeah, it's all very unique. Sort of cards. You get on card autos in there as well, don't you? So yeah, let's see. I'm interested to see the product and see how it plays out. But yeah, I might be tempted to grab a box, but we'll see.
Yeah, well, keep us updated on that, because that will definitely be worth a watch, just out of curiosity as well. And I think it probably lends itself well to the collectors like yourself, who have a more broader scope of what you collect.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Michael, aka Baza, can
Hey,
you
boss.
hear us?
Hey,
Yeah.
how you going? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, mate. Yeah.
Hello, mate.
Welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you for having me. It's
Yeah.
I'm grateful and very appreciative. So thanks for reaching out a few weeks back. And yeah, I think you've been and I, we've obviously been connected for a wee while over here in New Zealand, and so it was a nice sort of gesture, I guess, of reaching out and jumping on.
Yeah.
And yeah, so thanks for having me.
No, that's all good,
Thank you,
mate. We've been looking forward to getting you on. But like me and Mark have said like so many times that one of the topics we had for today's show was about growing the community. Like, obviously we're repping UK, New Zealand, and actually the card scenes are in two different places, I guess, aren't they? Like, Mark, even in the UK, we joked when I came back, I jumped straight on eBay and picked up all the local JSN cards and stuff like that. So generally, like, the market's bigger. Obviously, it's no US, but it's different to here. So it's real interesting contrast just for me and Mark. But we were talking about growing the community and stuff, and we always refer back to why we do the podcast. Like, we're probably almost exactly a year in, maybe just over. So we're in effect hobby amateurs, which is kind of like what I think is unique about our show. But like having people like yourself on, are we gonna go with Michael or Baza?
Go with Baza. Yeah.
Yeah, we like Baza.
Yeah, Baza. Yeah.
Baza collects. But yeah, like having you on and getting into because what I found interesting about your Instagram is obviously you were a collector a while ago and then got back into the hobby. So that's something I want to touch on. But yeah, like having the likes of you on Baza is what we're about. We want to get people on, have a chat, see what makes people tick, see what people collect. And before I stop waffling on, I just want to say you were actually a little bit of an inspiration for my videos on the card shops recently. So I saw yours and I liked how you did it. It was good content, and obviously you did a video on top play sports cards, which is I don't know I don't know if the word's fortunate or unfortunate that I live close to it. Fortunate for the hobby for me, but unfortunate for my bank balance. But yeah, enough from me. Just, yeah, if you don't mind, just give us a little an insight into your collecting and how you got into it and all that jazz.
Yeah. Well, probably, to be fair, like when I've spoken to a bunch of people in the hobby, and probably similar timeline to how you guys have jumped on with your podcast, I think I came back into the hobby, I'm going to say June last year, and I know exactly because I turned 40 last year, right, in 2025. I was down in Christchurch and on a business trip, and I finished up work, and I thought I'd treat myself for my 40th birthday and went down to Dime City Sports Cars to go see Paul and Brad, and decided I'll just grab a pack for nostalgic purposes. I managed to open rip a Paddy Mahomes Sunday Kings. So the case hit out of Optics 2024. And it was ironic because I'm a Bills fan, obviously. So Paddy Mahomes has been our arch nemesis for as long as the last 8-7 years, right?
Yeah.
And so from that moment, it sort of just almost entering that shop, that local card shop, or the LCS, right, as it's sort of the acronym. It was almost I was almost automatically transported back into sort of my childhood of 8, 10 years old of collecting, right? And then sort of having that feeling of opening something that was a bit of a hit, right? You're like, geez, that's pretty good. And you kind of, and then it all starts, right? As you guys know, but that's sort of really where it started. And then from there on, and I just sort of slowly was getting back into stuff, got my old set of cards back from my parents' place.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if you've seen on my post, but I had like this old briefcase, right? And that's
All
right,
that, yeah.
everything in, right? And so as a kid, you don't have any fancy card cases or card holders or anything like that. There's no Zion cases. And so everything was
No,
relatively loose.
well, that's an interesting evolution, isn't it, as well?
Yes.
Like from even storage and how cars were stored. Just before you continue, Baza, like one thing I'm really curious about straight away is at the point you've gone into Dime City, that whole thing I'm getting from what you're saying is a bit of nostalgia. Would I be right in thinking that the fact that you pulled this absolute banger is maybe a massive contributing factor why you decided to kind of get back into the hobby and actually start producing the content that you're producing? Do you reckon that was a big part of that?
Yeah, I'd 100%. I think it absolutely played into the formula of it all sort of coming together, right? Because I was saying, as sort of maybe a month passed from June, right? And I kind of got my cards back and kind of going through that process and looking at it, and you just have all these sort of memories pouring in, right? Some of the trades you did with your mates back at school and cards you pulled and all the rest of it. And so it was almost like the snowball effect, right, from that moment. And certainly that hit of pulling a nice card, and again, I'll disclaim that Paddy Holmes is an arch nemesis, but regardless of the Sunday Kings sort of case hit, it just, again, it was like, oh, I can't recall a, a hit like this when I was a kid, because as a kid, you're obviously limited in funds, right?
Yeah.
And so to me, it was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And so again, it just created this snowball momentum effect of just getting back into the hobby. And then from that moment on, I just went into a bit of a rabbit hole of learning, well, where's the hobby now? What's it all about? What cards are good? What's not good? Who's the good players? All that sort of stuff. And so all of a sudden, it just kind of, yeah, created all these different tentacles, I guess, for lack of a better term, of the hobby bits, right? And the hobby is so massive, right? And so as I was sort of going through that journey, I was like, this is a pretty cool thing to document and kind of go through. And I decided probably a month or two into sort of that moment that I was like, I will just start documenting it. And even if it's just purely for myself to look back on, and go. And it just sort of made connections like yourselves, and with a whole bunch of people across the globe, really. And I think that's probably one of the benefits of the community in today's environment, right? Which you've got social media, you've got that global connection, and then on top of that, what was really awesome, which I completely had no expectation on, was that my two sons, who one is 16 years old and one is 6 years old, both jumped on the hobby with me. And then all of a sudden we've got this awesome ecosystem, which I somewhat talk about in my post, which it's, yes, the hobby kind of brought us together, but because it's a sports hobby and sports cards, we like playing basketball together, hanging out together, and then we decided sometime last year that we were going to go to a big card show, because as you're well aware, there's not too many big card shows here in New Zealand, right?
No, that's it. Yeah.
And so we booked some flights and some tickets to the West Coast card show that's coming in July in Anaheim later on this year. And again, I've connected with the likes of Rob with the Card Father and other people in that space in LA. And so we're all going to go there and just hang out. And so I think that's an awesome byproduct of just opening a card that back at Dime City that then just evolved into this massive cool thing for me personally. And yeah, it's just, I'm loving it. So that's sort of a really long-winded way of saying how I got back into the hobby.
Yeah, I think what's interesting there is there's a similarity there with something that me and Mark were talking about recently. Mark, when you posted those you had David James, Jamie Redknapp, some of these older players that used to play like when we were really young, first getting into football. That's something that you've been enjoying recently, isn't it? The sort of nostalgia side of it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I had the Futera Liverpool 1998 pack, but that took me back to when I was collecting as a kid. All these sort of old Liverpool players and old sort of football players. Baza, tell me about. Thanks for coming on, mate. It's a pleasure to meet you. Tell us a little bit about what was in that briefcase. I want to know what was the product that you got back from your parents' house. What was in there?
Yeah, unfortunately, nothing crazy. So no sort of rookie Jordans or anything like that hiding away in that way.
You open it and realise you're a millionaire.
No, yes, and even if it would be a PSA one if that for that matter. But there were a few. I was where obviously if you can do the math, but sort of a mid '90s, late '90s kid collector, right? So it was sort of in I'd say almost the peak of the basketball hobby collecting sort of space, right? Where you had Jordan, you had obviously his championships, and then you had on the back end of that you had Kobe and Allen Iverson entering that league sort of 96, 97. And then that period between sort of the late 90s, early 2000s was, I think that they call it kind of like the glory days of the NBA, right? And so a lot of those sort of cards and managed to get some Kobe's and some Iverson rookies out of that briefcase. Again, probably not in the greatest condition, but regardless, again, PC cards that I'll keep forever just because I like those players. But yeah, nothing crazy, Martin, in terms of massive finds. But yeah.
Yeah, because that's what
before I forget.
had.
Oh, sorry, go on, Mark. You go.
No, I just remember obviously when I got back into it, was aware that I had a box that had cards in and stickers and stuff like that, and I thought, I wonder what's in there. I remember getting them out, and I remember talking to you, Coom, about it early on. I had it was Upper Deck, and it was from the World Cup '94 football. And I don't know how some of them, some of the cards are, like you said, are just like, what was I doing with them? Like, I know I was young and I was a kid and stuff, but some of them are like near enough immaculate, and some of them are just smashed to bits and corners are bent and left, right, and centre. But yeah, just interesting to see the product from back then and how far the product sort of evolved and how it looks now and the sort of different variants that come out compared to sort of 90s cards. It's it's very interesting. But yeah, good to know that you managed to salvage some bits from the briefcase there.
What you at the minute, Baza? What you enjoying? So you've gone from collecting your we call it the old briefcase era, but then obviously that what appears to be that sort of like fateful day that's got you back into the hobby, the Paddy Mahomes Sunday Kings. I've seen some of your posts now. Like even this morning, I saw your Mosaic Absolute Donruss post, which is great. There's such great discussions. Been having that as early as yesterday with some other people that I'm talking with, and it's really interesting to see what people's views are. But what are you enjoying at the minute? What are you enjoying from a break point of view? Because I've seen you in breaks, which is a question I want to ask you. You got a case hit last night.
That's right.
And so from a break point of view, what you're looking for, and when we're ripping packs, what are you generally buying at the minute?
Yeah, I'm a big NFL fan. Just by default, and back in the briefcase era, at least when I was back here in New Zealand, there wasn't a lot of NFL cards, right? There was, if anything, not a lot of people knew about the NFL back in the 90s in New Zealand, right? And so naturally, that in terms of a hobby perspective, it was always basketball, mid 90s, Jordan era, Kobe cards. Those were sort of the things on the shelves, right? But I've always been an NFL and Bills fan, and it actually came as a result of playing Madden with my brothers back in the when the PlayStation first came out, right?
Yeah.
And so again, we didn't know anything about American sports as such, but the Bills had a half decent team on Madden back in the the mid to late 90s when it sort of started coming out. And so I just use them as my default team. And you smash just your brothers when you're playing Madden, or if you're playing FIFA in other formats and other sports. And so that became my default team. And then ever since then, I've just been a Buffalo Bills fan ever since. And so when I came back into the hobby and discovered that actually you've got cards for obviously NFL, which again, I wasn't aware back in the briefcase era. I was like, this is fantastic because I can, again, collect my actual favorite players as opposed to, say, the default of your Jordans and your Kobe's and Iversons, which, don't get me wrong, I love those players, but in terms of like a team that you commit to, right? Which, again, mine was the Buffalo Bills by default by playing Madden for so long that I had already had this 15, 20-year relationship with the Buffalo Bills. And so as soon as I came back into the hobby and discovered that there was a whole range of NFL cards, I was like, I've got to try and get some Bills cards, right? And so to answer your question, Kumi, I'm into NFL cards. I'm obviously PCing the Bills and all things Bills. In fact, I've got a few cards coming overseas from just real random Bills players, but again, that no one will have no idea about. But I know the story because, as you guys know, if you follow a team, outside looking in, you only see the superstars, right? Whereas if you're inside the team, you know all the bits and pieces, the guys that were like, 1-year wonders or legends, or came off the bench and just had stellar games and all the rest of it. So I've yet to kind of hone in on what my true PC is.
I'll get that.
But overall, much like yourself, Kimmy, with the Seahawks, it's just kind of anything Bills for now. I'm kind of picking up on, and maybe the wallet doesn't like that too much because I've kind of had to say no a few times to a few deals. But yeah, overall, it's NFL cards for me. I collect a few NBA cards with my sons, and Buffalo Bills PC.
What product are you ripping at the minute when you're buying boxes yourself?
Yeah, I went through a period last year where I was going through Mosaic, which was probably one of my favorite rips.
I love Mosaic,
and I like that the chrome sort of style finish cards. The paper cards, I like them. They're not they're not bad. But yeah, there's obviously just something to the chrome cards, right? They just shine better. They just look better in the hand and all the rest of it. So Mosaic for sure. Prism, I'm a little bit sort of 50-50 on. I think I might have done a post about in terms of the different design languages that they've had over the years. And so last year's okay, but I think the previous year's was better. And then this year's one seems to be a lot more appealing. So I think Prism
It's interesting you say that, because I think with Prism, from my point of view, I think the hits are good. They are really good. So when you get the hits, Prism is definitely up there. But I find with Prism, the rips aren't as exciting, and I'm not a massive fan of the base cards. But I would absolutely agree with you that this year, it's difficult because from our point of view, we're a year in and stuff like that. So I've seen a lot of stuff from previous years. But like when last year's product was our first kind of year in the hobby, so you become real familiar with it, this year's product. So I kind of tend to compare the two, but you compare this year's Prism to last year's Prism, it's so much better. And some of the boys, they know I said, I'm going to avoid Prism this year. And then I started seeing some breaks and stuff like that on YouTube, and I was like, I quite like this. And I got into it a little bit. But yeah, I'd absolutely agree with you there on the Prism. But like Mosaic, it's just a fun rip, isn't it? Even if you go and buy the value pack or the blasters, they're pretty fun rips. And again, linking that to Prism, I found last year with the blasters, they're a little bit repetitive, or they weren't as fun. But when you hit, obviously, it's a really, really nice card.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to add to that because I think there's obviously the big four from just, again, my short time back into the hobby, right? Which you've got Prism, which we talked about, Mosaic, you've got Optic, and then I think Select, right? And they all sort of come out staggered throughout the year or throughout the season. And if I had to sort of rank the big four as such personally from, and I'm a probably like most of us, I'm a visual person when it comes to colour, so I don't care too much about sort of the value as such as opposed to does it look really nice in the hand, and all the rest of it, right? Does it shine nicely in the sun as such? And for me, I think select design language or design theme is just the best in terms of just how they present that range. And year on year, from what I've been able to go back on and collect, I'm like, yeah, that design language is real consistent with that
Yeah,
product.
100%. Yeah.
And then I'd closely follow that with Mosaic and Optic are probably a close second too. And then yeah, Prism probably fourth in that space, just because again, I think their base range is relatively straightforward, simple. But obviously the Prism brand as such is kind of like the foundation piece for all those other products, right? So yeah, so it's kind of like a bit of a bread and butter sort of scenario. But yeah, for me, select number one, Mosaic, Optic number two, respectively, and then yeah, Prism 4. But yeah,
I think the Optic base cards this year are really nice. I really do. I think they just look so good, especially in hand. And earlier in this series, Mark, we were talking a lot about Origins, weren't we? I kept bleating on about it. And
Yeah.
I think you get a lot of the base cards that, when you look at them in some sets, could pass as a nice insert. I find that a little bit, people might laugh, but I find that a little bit with the Optic base cards. I think they just look so smart. So I think if you could combine particular products, you'd take the fun different designs from Mosaic, the hits from Prism, and mix in the base of Optic. You've got a super product. But you said something there, Baza, which is interesting, and I think it's not a surprising comment, but obviously that chrome finish and the shine and stuff like that, those products look better. Then you get people perhaps who have been in the hobby a longer time who you got a lot more. They like that kind of Dom Russ, that more original feel. But Mark, just on that, what would be interesting from your point of view, more with the Topps Premier League, is we've now seen the Chrome version of the Premier League come out, and I haven't ripped a box yet. I've seen stuff online, I've seen other stuff, but from your point of view, would you say what's your view on the difference from them? Because from what I've seen, it's night and day. Again, looking at a base card, even the base card in the Chrome just looks phenomenal. What's your view on that?
So yeah, the Topps Premier League, English Premier League's product it's great. Going from what the license coming over, and the Topps Premier League original product come out, which was all right. Yeah, it was exciting, but it sort of wore off quite quickly. But yeah, the Topps Chrome, it's just like you said, night and day. The quality of it is, and it definitely sits in that realm of sort of exactly what you were saying, Baz. That sort of Mosaic, Prism, mirror finish, feels good, looks good. And then on the flip side of the inserts, they're great as well. So you've got, that's why it's doing so well at the moment, is because of that then base cards are just fantastic in their own right. Let alone the inserts and the sort of hits that people are pulling, and I feel like the amount of numbered cards and autos that we're seeing is of a higher volume as it was compared to the original Topps product, which obviously generates excitement and a buzz about it and a hype about the product. So yeah, I've done a value box, a hanger box, and a normal box now. So I've done pretty much all of the, bar the hobby box, which is a bit more expensive, £180. I'm really enjoying it. I definitely want to go back and get some more. I haven't touched. Did a hanger box last week, and yeah, it's a fun £15 for like a box. It's very reasonably priced, and the product itself is probably worth, if you were to sell some of them inserts, they're a couple of £2 or £3 each. I love it. But what I'm looking for is, I'm looking to got my eyes on like a Robbie Fowler also. There's quite a lot about, and that's another thing where a lot of the a lot of like the legends in the product. There's a lot of legends in it, a lot of autos, and I think again that just generates a hype between like the younger audience and the older audience, and they're sort of brings everyone together. And I think they've sort of hit the nail on the head with it, and I'll be back for more for sure. I think it's some of the best that I've, because what was the other product I had the other week? There was something else that I had. It was the Merlin, the top
Nice. They're nice
Merlin,
cards, yeah.
and that was quite similar. I felt proper excited. You can tell when you open it, right? When you got the product in your hand,
Yeah.
you're like, I think I got can't remember the product. I bought a few boxes, didn't I, a couple months ago, and it was just like some of the scorecards,
Yeah.
which I like. They're quite vintage. They're sort of thinner. Some of the designs are quite cool, but like wasn't very like excited. There was a lot of it in the box. There was a lot of base. Whereas going into like this Merlin product and this Topps Chrome product, like I don't know, I just feel I'm just up here. I'm excited to rip it and to see what I get, and it's fun. It's fun, and there's so many good like parallels, ray waves. They're called. There's all these different there's just so much of it, and it's just and a lot of the. I did like a meme on TikTok, didn't I? That went viral.
Yeah. It was good.
In
I
England,
like that.
in Baza in England, just to let you know, there's like this product, right? There's a Topps Chrome product, and people were saying, "Oh, you can get it in, big supermarkets. You can get them in, this video game shop." And I've been to these shops, and none of them have it. So, all that I've bought has had to be online, which is fine. But like, it'd be quite nice because there's no like card shops near me down here on the south coast that will stock it.
It's probably
I have to
better
go
for your
from
wallet,
London.
though, isn't it?
Yeah, and to be fair, the demand online, I can get it online, which is good, and they restock it quite well, which is good.
Although, I'll tell you what would be good, Mark, is if you could get it in a supermarket, you could mix the odd box in with the groceries, couldn't you? Then go and tell the missus, say, "Oh, I'll tell you what, these shops are getting more and more expensive." Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I guess it would be a lot more accessible, right? It'd be a bit more dangerous
Exactly.
if I
Yeah.
could find it and I'll just pop in and get some milk, and the rest.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's probably a good
Yeah.
thing I can only get it online at the moment.
I was talking to Shane at Top Play, Baza, and he was saying that the EPL, right? So unfortunately over here with those EPL Chromes, Mark, is that the price is a little bit dearer because of the import on them and that. So like what you're paying for the blaster and what's the one below I think it was a tin, but whatever they refer to it as.
Like a hanger
I
box.
think I think they're $85 and $90 respectively. So that potentially challenging. But Shane's just saying to me that they're flying off the shelf. His first box of EPL Chrome, he sold out, so he had to bring some more in. But it's good. But linked to what we're saying, I just think it's so good for the hobby, and I think Bazzy, you were saying like we're similar age, and me and Marta are 39, 40 next year. And when we were younger, cards. Although Mark, you ended up with a few cards, didn't you? But generally, we were more sticker albums and stuff. That was our thing. But you see, like with social media now, so many kids have got sports cards accounts, and you're seeing them ripping cards and stuff like that. But just having the conversation with Shane at the shop around the volume of stuff that's going out, it just shows that the hobby is growing. And New Zealand's a challenge, isn't it? Like if you're, I've got some Bills cards. I'll show you after. But like each team, you've only got a few buyers for and stuff like that. So the more people that you can get in, and with like say Nick at KCC, I see his welcome message that goes out regularly, and the amount of new members that are joining those groups is always increasing. His last one, I think it must have had about 10 new members on. So everyone that comes in, everyone gets involved. The ultimate goal is to have the right cards with the right people who are PCing those. We want to reduce the amount of waste and money that people spend, and I think from my point of view, that's the goal, isn't it? You've got to look at just bringing people in and getting excited. But even though I'm more NFL, you're more NFL basketball. The fact that people are loving the Topps Chrome and stuff like that, and it's big, it's just massive. And the amount of trade posts I see on EPL stuff over here, Mart, is phenomenal.
Yeah.
So it is thriving. I keep saying to Shane, like, because I've kind of stopped actively collecting the EPL, but I'm so curious to rip a box of Chrome. So just having this conversation now, I'm pretty sure I know what I'm going to be doing this afternoon. Yeah,
It's interesting because I think Rob, the card father from Burbanks, I follow. I don't know if you follow his page and stuff. He's considered sort of one of the leaders in the hobby from decades ago, right, in that space. And one of the things that he's quite observant of in that space, and you could maybe there's a little bit of a bias in it with himself, but I can certainly relate to it, is that there is this expectation to chase the big cards, right? And I think that has its pros and cons, because I think the danger of what I can probably try to predict potentially, or at least observe from just watching and listening and learning and all the rest of it, is that's not sustainable, right? We've all sort of had a bit of a joke about the wallet getting a bit of a hit, right? And I'm sure none of us are billionaires, so you got to manage those funds accordingly. And I think the more that kids, I guess, especially probably more so, although us bigger kids have probably got more disposable income, so we're probably in more danger than the kids.
Yeah,
but
true.
I think it is just making sure that the hobby itself is sustainable across the whole spectrum, right? And it's I think the conversations, or at least observations that I've seen from the hobby is good and the hobby is bad spectrum, is that if we encourage chasing just the big hits, right, and we encourage just chasing the big case hits and all the rest of it, I think we run the risk of losing everything in between. And like you said, Kumi, the idea of having your true PC, right, and then everyone's just sort of jumping on, hey, I'm not a Bears fan, but I'm a Caleb Williams Caleb Williams card chasing fan, because I want to get the
Big card,
prism, right, or the not Jason, but the Jackson Dart, right, so on and so forth. So all of a sudden, you have that imbalance of true collecting and being a part of the hobby, to all of a sudden being a speculator, gambler sort of style approach, right? And so I think there's an opportunity to educate, which I don't know if my content is slowly trying to evolve in and around that, because I'm trying to learn from my own time back into the hobby, to kind of go, hey, this can be really, really expensive if you don't understand, or you're not super clear on what you like and what you want and what you want to do as being part of this community. Because again, if you're in it for a quick buck, I think probably like anything in any industry, in any market, right, you run the risk of not being there long term. And I think the cool thing about what we're all talking about, and probably the community that we're all part of, is that people are in it for the long term, right, regardless of the trends and the hits and all the rest of it, right? Because again, we've been somehow invested in it as kids, and we've got sort of this true, genuine connection to it, rather than sort of coming into it going, I saw something on TikTok or Instagram, and someone flipped a card for $500,000, right? But they didn't show the fact that he had to spend $2 million of ripping packs to get to it, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's an interesting period as we kind of go into, because obviously it's a business overall across it, right? And much like I suspect what Shane at Top Bell is sort of talking about, is like making sure that the demand and the supply balances out, right? Because I think if you get that balance wrong, then you run the risk of also, as a distributor or as a retailer, then pushing the wrong product because you didn't time it right, or you didn't get the right product,
100%,
and all of a sudden you're trying to shove it to people and genuinely, and then you run the risk of losing people as part of that hobby. And so I think the thing that Rob, that I really like, the card father talks about quite consistently, is going, it's about having cards in hand, right? And it's about loving and being clear on the things that you want to love to collect, right? And I think if you can get that basis right, then and have that as a real good foundation, then I think the rest, the trends and the highs and lows will sort of even out as a result of it. So I mean, that's my observation in 2 cents. And
I think on that, like last week, me and Mark were talking about. I brought up the little gripe I had with Arena Club. It just makes me feel uneasy because I had a little. I felt it was my duty to have a go. So I deposited $50, and I bought one of these sort of slab packs that they do online. I got quite a nice card, actually. Got a nice Paddy Mahomes card, which is actually valued more. But I just want to see how it worked. It'll just sit in like a vault because it costs too much to bring over. Just keep it there for now. But the danger with that is that essentially it's pure gambling. It's like as Mark found amusing. It's like the pokies. You put in your $50 in, you're ripping a slab, right, and you're chasing. They say they're very transparent with what could be in there and the percentage of or the likeliness that you're going to get that card. People are going to go on there and they're going to want the kaboom or whatever the chases are in the price range that you're going for. I think there'll be a lot of people, just like in gambling. We know how bad gambling can be, but people are just going to plow the money in, go for that, and they're going to end up with nothing. So from Arena Club's point of view, it's fantastic. They're going to end up with a massive holding of slabs and a ton of money where people have just chased the big one and ended up below that, having an account balance that sits below the minimum purchase, i.e. $25 or $50, whatever. Funnily enough, the $25 ones always seems to be sold out. So you go to 50. So your balance sits just below 50. You've got money sitting there. You've got slabs sitting there. You've got nothing to show for it. And that kind of links to what you were saying there. It's about sustainability. Like if you want to come into the hobby, and this has been my lesson as well. Like I've got things wrong and things that resonate with me is finding what you want to collect, fine tuning what you want to collect. Because I came in all guns blazing, as me and Mark have said. Mark was slow and steady, and you've kind of built up to where you kind of want to be. You only just started getting into buying your autos and your singles and stuff like that. It's just you've been so much more patient. Whereas I've come in, it's my personality. When I'm in something, I'm in it. And I wanted to. It was like a race to establish a decent collection and then build on that. And yeah, I've probably wasted money, bought cards that probably couldn't afford and stuff like that. And but I want to be in the hobby long term, and exactly what you said there, Baza. I don't want to get to a point where I've just overspent or I've been chasing big cards and stuff like that. That actually it's now not fun. You've got buyer's remorse or regret over how you've done it, and part of the ongoing joke with how's your luck, Don Lot was about direction, and it's such a massive thing, isn't it? My advice to anyone is find what you want to do quickly, as quick as you can, because when you take everything or you feel like you should buy, you should have, and that's kind of what I felt like. I felt like I need some big hits in my collection to kind of say I'm a collector when you don't. And, was it last week, Mark, or the week before, I used Mosaic as an example, the honeycomb case hit.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago.
The Genesis ones are phenomenal, right? Love them. Honeycomb, I don't even like that insert, right? But then you get a purple reactive that comes in a mega. You talked, Baza, about cards in hand and how they look. You hold a purple reactive of the player you want, a Josh Allen, or for me, a Milrow JSN. The card's beautiful. I love it. But that's a basic insert. A honeycomb, everyone wants a honeycomb, but I look at that and look at the equivalent in a purple reactive. I want the purple reactive. I don't want the honeycomb. And I think that's, for me, that's the example. It's got to be just like nice, slow and steady. Take your time. And just enjoy the cards that you've got. And I think I'm trying, not quite successfully yet. That's where I want to be.
Mm. Yeah, it's interesting because I did a post maybe a few weeks ago, sort of after coming out of the holiday period, right? We probably, for most of us, probably gave ourselves the license to buy a little bit more for ourselves, our own presents, right? And so as that sort of wave came down and you sit back, relax, and you kind of sort of take stock of inventory and finances and stuff, you kind of go, okay, yeah, maybe I need to be a little bit better on, my my budgeting for my hobby, etc. Right? And then I think when you kind of get into that mindset, similar to what I was sort of saying earlier, and you connect that with what is really important for you for your own collection, then like you said, Kumi, you start to define your own case hits or your own hits that and it's funny. I did some funny memes earlier on in my Instagram post where I sort of said, I'd put a Josh Allen just pink camo apparel that's $2, right, $3 in a one touch, all sleeved up properly and displayed, right? Because to me that looks so fantastic, right? First and foremost, visually appealing, but it's Josh Allen and it's the Bills and it's a mosaic one as well. So it just ticks all those boxes, right? And so, and then, I had a few comments in saying, well, why are you putting a $2, $3, $4 card into a one touch, right? And that doesn't make any sense, but it's like, it doesn't need to make sense to those people, right? So I think
Yeah, exactly.
the clearer you get on what's important to you and what you want to collect, you'll get rid of all that noise that we're sort of just talking about, right? Which is the noise is, hey, come by here, right? Come to this break, come to this. And I think once you kind of get clear on that, so I was talking to someone in Australia, one of the connections, and I was just sort of communicating back and forth, and I sort of said, formatting is, if I had sort of $100 as a budget, or sort of you had that sort of classic 100%, I'd spend say 20% on breaks for my team. And then maybe another 20% on packs or boxes that I'd buy in that space, and then the rest on singles that are directed to where I can actually see and look to physically buy. So then that way, that balance it's almost that classic sort of 80-20, 60-40 split, right? And
Yeah.
apply this to everything in life, right? So in a similar fashion, I'm just kind of going, okay, that's a nice balance for me, because each month I can jump into a couple of breaks and not feel guilty of missing out or having that FOMO, but also know the risk of, hey, if I chuck in a lazy 20 on the Bills with Nick at KCC and I don't get anything, it's all sort
You're
of
not going to lose sleep at night. Yeah.
yeah, as opposed to going, man, I didn't get a hit of whatever it is, and now I've got to go and get another one, and then so on and so forth. So I think it is important, for collectors, again, going back to that theme of making the hobby sustainable long term, is making sure that everyone has a good understanding of what their collection looks like, what their budgets are, what they like, don't like, and being okay. I think this was one of the posts I talked about, was being okay with walking away when the hype is so high, right? And you feel like you're missing out, because the reality is there are millions of cards out there, right? And it all takes just another season, and then all of a sudden it restarts again, right? And then, your Jackson Dart is no longer the headline, right?
That's
You can
it,
go
yeah.
back, and there's lots of examples where Zion Williams, for example, right? Massive hype back in the 2018 or whenever he came out as the number one draft pick. And then all of a sudden, his stock has just massively gone down, right? So again, that's probably a good example of just not buying into that hype if you don't have to, i.e., he's not your guy, right? And if he's your guy, and later on, you're going to get yourself a massive bargain, right? Because all of his cards are going to become massively reasonable. So, yeah, I think it's a real interesting dynamic in the hobby, because I think it's a mixture of it being your passion and your hobby, obviously, and then there's the commercials that come with it, and then there's that responsibility of blending it all in, right? And I think as bigger kids, again, we probably have the challenge of going, we've got payday, right? So it's all sitting in your bank. So it's a little bit more, and that responsibility bit might sort of fall off a little bit.
Yeah, that's it.
And then all the
That's
hype sort of
That's every
creeps in.
payday for me, Baza. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, so
Yeah.
it's interesting, and I'll be interested to see how it goes over the next couple of years, because I think at the same time I've come into a hobby, or entered back into the hobby, where I think it is really at the peak of awareness, the peak of interest, the peak of all the things coming into together, right? So I think it'll be just a matter of time before that peak has to naturally drop, and then I think that's when the true I guess challenges will come into play, right? Like when people don't want to buy those cards anymore, and you've invested in $1,000,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden the people that were in that hype buying that card for 2,000 are no longer there. But you've got your true collector going, mate, I'll buy it off you for $200, and you're like, $200?
Yeah.
I mean, I was in it for $1,000, right? So I think that'll be an interesting observation over the next couple of years.
Yeah, 100%. Baza, I think I speak for Martin and I could probably sit here and talk to you for the rest of the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, this has been this is really good. I said it at the start. Just getting people like yourself on and having these conversations is what we're all about. So yeah, just before we let you go, just want to thank you for taking the time and coming on. It's been good.
No, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it.
And it's good to connect, virtually. Even though I think, Kun, you talked about this in one of your episodes, or a couple of your episodes where you talked about it. It's weird, the community. It's kind of like everyone, even though you haven't met everyone, and so
Yeah,
person. But it's like we're all mates, right? And it's kind of like
yeah.
I think
But that's good though, isn't it? It's another good element. But we're going to do a show on we've Kuma Curry Sports Cards. We've got a table at Wellington, one of the sponsorship packages at the card show. So I don't know what your plans are, but there's going to be a few of us here. Brock, friend of the podcast,
yes,
Brock,
yeah.
and Rhino, they're going to be there. Hamish Robertson, and I think there's talks of bringing the man himself, Mr. Nick Mildenhall from KCC. I think he may be in attendance. So there's going to be a nice opportunity there to meet a lot of people in the flesh, which will be good.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I need to look at my schedule and see if I can wrangle a business trip in and around that weekend. So
that's it, mate. 100%. Yeah, get see what you can work out. But Baza, been a pleasure.
Likewise.
We'll let you go, and I'll be in touch. And keep producing the content, mate. Enjoy it.
Yeah, likewise, and again, congratulations on the show. I think I counted about 32 episodes and counting so far to date. So well done. It's I know how much work probably goes into it that a lot of people don't see. So, and I know that you guys are on opposite sides of the world. So, getting aligned each week for each episode, I'm sure is no easy feat. So well done and congratulations, and look forward to hopefully jumping on episode in the future.
Yeah, 100%, mate. 100%. Yeah.
Appreciate your time, mate. It's been a pleasure talking to you, mate. Thanks a lot.
All good. All right, guys, take it easy. See ya.
See you, mate.
Cheers. Poor guy.
Oh, what a guest.
Yeah. Very very knowledgeable and spoke very well about the hobby, didn't he? And the way loved to talk about sustainability. That was great.
Yeah,
really enjoyed it.
I think sometimes it kind of gives you a bit of perspective, doesn't it? Like, especially me, and we talk about our contrasting routes, which probably makes this interesting. But I think the points that Baza was making there is important, and it's something that I battle with because I love it. I'm in. I want it. I can't get enough of it. But if you go and spend money you don't have, or spend all your budget or whatever, then there's going to be a point, like they say with gambling, where it's not fun anymore. So no one wants that. So you've got to not listen to the outside noise about what you should be having and things like that. Just get the cards that you enjoy and stuff like that. So that conversation with Baza, yeah, we could talk to him all day, mate. But we've got a few things we want to get through, haven't we?
We do, yeah. What do you? Well, I mean, it's been a while, isn't it? Speaking of stuff that you want to collect, we may as well jump into a mail day. It's been a while, isn't it?
I think we've not had we must have had a mail down this series, but yeah, 100%, yeah.
Yeah, I think we've had one. I actually had a card delivered today, so I'll I'll start if you don't mind.
You go for it, mate.
Right. So first, I'm going to go with this card, which I absolutely love, by the way. And it was only like £1.16 I paid for it. Mine,
We love
and without postage. And it's a Panini Revolution. Didn't even know this product like existed. Panini Revolution Curtis Jones rookie card on a disco ball. See that?
Nice.
And obviously I don't really, Curtis Jones is not part of my PC, but I thought that card is beautiful. So I had to pick it up. And then, wow, 1, 2, 3, 3 autos here that have come through. Don't know if I spoke. Did we speak about this one? The Glenn Johnson auto?
Yes, we had a brief chat, but because we didn't do the mail day, we've posted it on Insta.
Yeah,
and we had
so
a brief
that's
chat, didn't we, about the sort of nostalgia side of it.
so that's Panini
So,
Prism on the green refractor, I believe. Would you call it green refractor or parallel? What sort of terminology you used on that?
probably a parallel, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, so the Glenn Johnson auto. So basically, I've found like a nostalgia section of my PC that's growing, which is autos of players, retired players, if you will, from the old days. And I picked up the Glenn Johnson one because the story goes that me and you went to Anfield for our first game together.
Yeah.
That's where the story comes from. That's why I picked that one up, because he scored his first goal for Liverpool that night that we saw them. They beat Stoke City 4-0 and he scored. So I thought, I'll always remember that. Putting beers in the sink in the hotel we were staying at, playing.
Oh yeah.
We were playing some sort of cricket or something, but
I had Ronaldo on my shirt.
Yeah, so that's that takes me back to takes us back to first ever trip to Anfield. So that's proper nostalgia. Another couple of the boys I picked up, one of your boys, which he should be coming back to Liverpool at some point, Harvey Elliott on the select auto there. I know you probably can't see
nice.
that. I like you. You're a big fan of Harvey Elliott. So am I. Sort of
I want him back.
surprised. I mean, it's a good time to get him back because we're, that creativity is sort of lacking in the latter third of the pitch. But we move on to my last auto, which is an absolute legend. A legend, still hanging about. You still find him. Select again. Select autos. I really like the look of. None other than Jamie Redknapp. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
And the penmanship on that is just beautiful.
Yeah, we got a lot of time for good penmanship.
Oh yeah. So Jamie's there. So yeah, growing quite a nice little sort of nostalgia collection of autos. I've also found myself down a rabbit hole of the field level, the select field level cards, right? So I picked up.
Yeah, beautiful.
I bought like a Gerrard base one right at the beginning of the PC, right? And I picked up this one, got delivered today. Gerrard on the cracked ice. My first cracked ice. Belter.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, boy. So this one is the piece de la résistance, if you will, as they say in France.
De la résistance.
You posted this, but it's the field level colour match red Stevie G, and it's numbered 18 out of 88.
MC, that card is, by the way, I said this to you, didn't I? It's phenomenal. Obviously, you just said there you got the colour match as well. It's the field level, it's select, it's Stevie G, it's numbered. It ticks all the boxes. That and yeah, amazing. I'm really chuffed that you've got that.
Yeah, thanks very much. I'm really enjoying the field levels, which brings me on to my next point. I've actually got my eyes on an orange version of that, number to 75. The camo case hit. The camo one, and then there's like a zebra print case hit version.
Zebra, yeah.
Oh no,
we love a zebra. Yeah,
I'm trying to get the whole collection at this rate.
Yeah.
So
we're going for the field level rainbow.
That's it. That's what I need to find. I need to find out the what colours I need for the rainbow. I mean, obviously I know what
That's it.
colours are in the rainbow, but I need to see what's all available. But yeah, I would love to get a rainbow collection. That'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
Mate. Yeah, and they're a popular card as well. The field level, they're so good.
Mm.
Yeah, some great additions there.
Yeah, and I've got another one coming this week, which is a really quite special card actually. Only a base card, but I'm not going to reveal what it is yet. Let's just say
This must be
it
some
is
base
Steve.
card.
It's a base card, but it's Stevie G, but it's not as a player. I'll leave you at that.
Right. Okay. Yeah,
Nice, hasn't he?
I do like that. Yeah, I see. Okay.
Go on then, give us some highlights of what yeah, give us some highlights of what you picked up, Chief.
So I've got two. I mentioned a while ago. I sold my Roma Dunze Color Blast, and with that I bought a couple of Seahawks. Some nice cards from the States. It's taken ages. One of them's an Uptown Milrow, but it's stuck in customs. I don't know what's been put in that package. It's been there a while. It's very frustrating, and I've got a Color Blast coming hopefully today, which has landed in the country after this one stuck at customs, but I think is getting delivered today. It is in his college uniform though, so it's not in a Seahawks. So there are a couple of things I've got on the horizon, but the last few weeks have been. I guess my mail day is a little bit topical because it's kind of cards that I really like that are more on the lower end that I'm going to be keeping in my PC. But MC, I'm going to start with some good news for you. I've picked up a couple of nice Packers cards I'm going to be holding for you. So you've got there a nice Savion Williams, rated rookies in the blue, optic.
Beautiful.
And I've picked up, which I think this is lovely. This is a Matthew Golden Paragon insert from Phoenix, silver.
That's unbelievable.
Rookie card. So they will at some stage find their way to you. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
In terms of Seahawks, picked up a nice Arroyo silver for the Arroyo PC. That's Prism. Hidden Potential, Jalen Milrow. That's quite nice. Similar to the Savion Williams, I've got another Arroyo there. And I'll see your cracked ice and I'll raise you a Dave Krieg numbered purple cracked ice.
I've been out cracked.
Yeah. So we love a cracked ice. And I'll end mine on. I put a video up recently of an optic mega that I bought from Top Play Sports Cards. Without getting an uptown or a downtown, I think I've got possibly the next best box you could get. I had a Cam Ward, I had a Travis Hunter, blue inserts. I had a mem card, Jaden Lane from Commanders, and then I finished it with some last pack magic, a silver Jackson Dart.
Bang. There it is.
I was chuffed. If, like I said, if you're not going to get the uptown, if you're not going to get the downtown, get the box I got because that was phenomenal. The video's on Insta if anyone wants to have a watch. It's a good watch. Actually. Yeah. So some exciting things to come. And some exciting things I've picked up over the course of the last few weeks. But what I do want to show you is, sadly, I've found my way into the Funko Pop world.
Welcome.
Look at that. Welcome. Yeah. That's a Richard Sherman.
Yeah.
And obviously I've
got
my my JSN.
Nice.
The little filter allows. And my favourite, we've got a Blitz.
Little
Blitz.
Blitz.
There, Blitz. There you
go. Seahawks Sam's best mate.
Yeah, but I'm a out of the box. There's people probably now will be watching that going, sacrilege. You don't take it out of the box. But Nah, got to be out of the box.
Yeah, I'll touch on that. I've got about 6 or 7, and they're all in protective boxes. How do you feel about that?
What, as in the boxes they came in, or?
No, they're in their original packaging, and then they've got a plastic casing that I bought, like
Right.
makeup boxes that you put on them.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I
I've got
don't
like
like it.
doesn't like it, not a fan. Yeah, fair enough.
Not a fan.
Uh,
Box out. But with my
I've got
helmets, I'm a box in. In the box, man. So I guess it just
yeah,
depends. I just think they look great out of the box, the Funko Pops. So,
yeah, each to their own. Subjective, isn't it? I've got
and that's
Liam
the beauty
Gallagher.
of it.
I've got Liam Gallagher. I've got Noel Gallagher. I've got The Godfather, which I picked up from a car boot sale. I've got Chubbs from Happy Gilmore. Do you remember him? Gets his hand bitten off by an alligator. Damn alligator bit my hand off. I've also got, I can't remember his name, guy from Men in Black. Guy that asked for, he's at the beginning of Men in Black 1, he asked for sugar, water. You know, that guy who gets taken.
Oh, the alien. Yeah. Yeah. That's so random. Yeah. Mm. Oh, well, it's another rabbit hole for me to fall down. Um, yeah, but yeah, I quite like him. I posted a little picture. I made a little display on the end of my desk now, which I quite enjoy. Um, although I'm looking at it, it's got 4 sections. I feel like there's a Steve Largent Funko Pop in the shop, and I'm thinking I just need that one just to complete the 4. Yeah, and that'll do me, I think. Um, yeah, yeah, of course, yeah, of course. Um, I what was I what? Just having a look at unprofessional of me, but I'm just looking at the list of what we're going to talk about. I think becoming commonplace now, isn't it? We're getting so stuck into these conversations that we have to eliminate half of. But the show goes on. That's yeah. That's the beauty of it. Uh, I don't think so, Mark. I think we've covered a lot. Um, there's a lot of things that we had on the agenda that we wanted to cover. But I think that would be a nice transition to the next episode. I think the chat with Baza was awesome. Brought up some topics. I guess that um, quite important. The sustainability one's massive. I think from my point of view, in terms of topics that I want to discuss and stuff like that, I've been talking with um, a couple of the boys over here who are, we're just sort of throwing ideas around how we can contribute to the hobby and stuff like that, make it bigger, um, get people involved. And I know, again, UK, New Zealand's different, but from my point of view, I just love it. Um, what we're doing with the podcast is brilliant. I think I've really started to, I guess, contact different groups over here, and a lot of people have supported. We had a little shout out for Blunt Collection. I just want to get the name right. Blunt, um, New Zealand Blunt Collections, I think they're called. But I did a break with them a few weeks ago. A chap called Najesh, and he's been superb. So just so I'm getting the name perfectly right, yeah, Blunt Blunt, New Zealand. They do a lot of card breaks over here, and I had a chat with Nijesh about putting a post out about the podcast, and he was like, he made a graphic, shared it with his community, which is massive, and was really supportive of what we're doing. And it's just another conversation, you know. And I've been trying to push that so we can increase the reach on the podcast and get more people on. So I think at the minute, you know, that's our, you know, my way on this side of the world of trying to increase the hobby or contribute to it, I guess, over here. Just reaching out, speaking to different people in the hobby and stuff like that. So this week's been quite big. I put another post out on New Zealand Card Collectors Group, I think it's called. Apologies to people I've mentioned. I don't want to do a disservice with names, but I've put a post out on there. Had a good response off that. And it's interesting to look at the podcast numbers as well. And off the back of that, we've been invited onto a podcast as well, which will be a first for us. So the community's strong, mate. And yeah, just love the support, love the interest. I think next week we'll talk a little bit more about the show coming up and some of the plans that we've got for it. Unfortunately, you won't be able to attend. It's, no. Oh, you will. You will. We'll be doing a podcast, so hopefully the times align for, even if it's a brief appearance. Wake you up in the middle of the night, get you on. We'll see what your schedule allows. But yeah, we'll have a live pod there. But you'll certainly be contributing to it in the planning and stuff like that. So we have conversations about that. But yeah, I can't wait for that. Honestly, it's going to be so good. Yeah. So I've waffled on enough. Anything else from you, Chief? Good timing. Oh, his phone may have died. That is a first for the podcast. We've lost him. That is the professionalism of Coombe & Curry Sports Cards. I love that. Yeah, great timing. I'll wrap things up. You can hear you. I'll try not to carry on waffling too much, but yeah, like, great show. Good chat with Baza. Love seeing Mark's autos from Liverpool, nostalgia. Class. It's what the show's about. It's what the podcast is about. Keep giving us feedback. Do what Baza's done. Come on the show, talk about your PC. Yeah, love it. Love the hobby. There's no one to say regards to your family, so say it to all the listeners. Regards to all your families. Have a great week, and make sure you come back next week for another fun show. Over and out.